Okay, now today we're going to be reviewing this. It's the XKBot Educational Robot Kit from Banggood.com. So yes, this is the XKBot Educational Robot Kit. I bought this from Banggood.com. I bought this with my own funds, so this is not a sponsored video. There'll be a link in the video description to where you can buy this on Banggood.com. It cost about £43 when I bought it. That link is an affiliate link, which means if you click and buy that way, I do make a small commission. You don't pay any more, but I make a small commission and that goes to support this channel. If you object to that idea, you are of course perfectly free to Google this up and find it yourself without using my link. Okay, now before we get too far into this video, I feel like I should give you a warning actually in case you're disappointed when you come to the end. The end result of constructing and trying to program this robot has been, at the time of editing this video, quite disappointing. And there are two reasons for that. One is that the robot itself is a bit of a rip-off of the MakeBlock MBot, but that aside, the main problem is that the app that comes with it doesn't appear to be available in an English language version, even though the adverts on Banggood did actually show an English language app, and indeed the manual does as well. But anyway, so we get to the end and we can't program the thing. We can use it in line following mode or obstacle avoidance mode, but not programming mode, which is the most important thing about this kit. It just doesn't work. Now at the moment I've got inquiries open with the manufacturers and with Banggood to see if we can find an English language app, but nothing's come back on that at the time of uploading this video. So unless you're really looking for an educational robot which is going to educate you not only in how to build robots but how to speak Chinese, then this might not be the thing for you. So anyway, let's get back on with the unboxing and the construction and the testing. So let's get on to the unboxing. We're going to do a quick unboxing and just unpack it and see what we've got in there, and then we'll assemble it, test it, and I'll give you my full sort of review opinion on how good or bad this is. It says ages 3+. I imagine that's probably for using it, probably not for assembling it. I suspect you might have to be a little bit more mature than 3 years old to assemble this, but we'll have a look and we'll get an idea of what that's like anyway. So let's have a look at the box. So XKBot Educational Robot Kit, assembling robots manually, training brains, bringing joys. Programmable intelligent robot, children's favourite robot. This is the red one. It's available in red or blue. And let's see what we've got in here. So it's got a little breakdown of the components on the back there. It's got an app that you can connect it to. It uses a variant, I think, of Scratch for programming it, which is good for kids. It's like a drag and drop, click into place type programming language. Let's open it up and see what we get in the box. The box opens oddly, kind of upside down, but never mind. So we get a manual, which is hopefully going to show us, yes, it's got the assembly instructions nice and clear. Now those assembly instructions look like they might be same sort of level as maybe a complex Lego kit or Meccano or something like that. And then it's got nice, looks like fairly well written and quite legible and understandable English instructions. And then instructions on how to program it. So we get a nice manual. We get a kind of racetrack thing, because I think it has a line following mode. It's a big sheet of paper with a track printed on it. We may or may not use that. And then we get to the components of the kit itself. So let's see what we've got. So a plastic thing and a circuit board pre-populated. Doesn't look like there will be any soldering necessary. There's ultrasonic sensors on the front there in a module that's already pre-soldered onto the board. So it looks like it's all plug and play. So that's that. There is the main chassis of the robot itself, which is anodized aluminium. Very nicely done actually, sort of brushed texture anodized aluminium with all the threaded holes and everything ready in it. We've got 2 geared motors. These look like they're going to be, yeah, they're just gearboxes and motors assembled. So they're just DC motors, they're not steppers. So that tells me that the precision of this robot might not be 100%, but I'm sure it's fine. And then what else have we got in here? We've got another little circuit board. Not really sure what that does. It looks like it might have some plugs. Bit of a problem with the soldering on that one by the look of it. A little bit wonky on one of the pieces. Hopefully that won't matter. And then we've got another little box of components here. So I'm just going to put the box out of the way for the moment. We've got a box of other components here. So we've got a battery pack, a bag of various mechanical components. It looks like we get a little screwdriver and a spanner in there, so we might not need any additional tools to assemble this. It looks like you might have all the tools you need in the bag there. And a pair of wheels with little rubber tyres on them. And that's it. So it looks like assembly is going to be fairly straightforward and simple. There are quite a few little mechanical pieces in here, but they're mostly nuts and bolts. So, initial impressions for what we got for 43 quid. I guess that's not bad. So, let's get started. So we've got the manual here, nice and clear. It's got a checklist of all the parts you've got in there. Picture of the robot, that's what we're aiming to assemble. Kind of cute, isn't it? So let's crack on then, shall we? So we've got an inventory of the parts there. Oh, there's an optional remote controller, which we don't have, but I believe this can be controlled from an app anyway. And then there's an exploded diagram on that page there. But I don't think we have to worry about that, because I think we have step-by-step instructions. Yes, we do. So let's assemble the parts. So I'm just going to tip this bag of small pieces out here onto the table, because I think we're going to be using all of these bits here. So that's the little caster thing that we've got for the front of the robot, which is just a captive ball bearing inside a plastic part. But it looks like it will serve quite nicely. So step one is assembling the motors into the chassis. So let's have a look. I'm going to put the chassis like that, and these motors go in. Yeah, just like that, and you can't really get that wrong. They've got little screw holes in there for the screws to go into, and those align quite nicely with those holes when it's in the middle of that piece there. So we need some M3 25mm screws. Those go through like that, and then we've got some little M3 nuts there. And so we'll try and use this little screwdriver and see if that actually works. Yeah, it looks like it works. That's good. For such a tiny little screwdriver, that's actually not bad quality. It does look a bit cheap, but it does the job. A little bit fiddly for my sausage fingers. This is probably actually easier for a child to assemble than it is for me, because I've got fat fingers and there's a little bit of fiddling around here to do. So now we've got that little spanner. Yeah, I guess we can put that little spanner on the nut there and tighten it up properly. Yeah, that's good. That works. Good. And then the other motor will go on the other side, no doubt, in a similar fashion. What I like about this is the tolerances on these holes is engineered just right, so that you can't really get this wrong. Actually, if you get the screws and bolts in the right place, then the motor can't really be in the wrong place. There's a little peg that locates into that hole there, and if you get the screws central in those holes there, everything else is perfectly aligned, which is good, because really you don't want to have to adjust this. You just want to put it together and have it work straight after assembly. I am going to try and assemble it just using the tools that are provided. Funny little things, look, but then perfectly adequate for what we have to do. So that's step one done. Step two, fit the wheels. Okay, separately bagged wheels, and those just clip on to the spindles. Spindles are kind of rectangular shape, and there's a rectangular recess inside the wheels. It looks like they just push fit out. There we go. Okay. little bit of a tight push there. Feels like it's going to break, but it's not. There we go. So that's the wheels assembled. And now we want this little line tracking board. Right, so that's this thing here. Now this is the piece that I think might be a little bit iffy. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that component there was a little bit bent on the board, but I think it's just a... I think it was just the packaging that's come loose, but yeah, there was a little bit of a bent component there, but it's straightened out okay without any fuss. So hopefully we're alright with that. So the line tracking board, and then we need a little, we're looking for, yeah, this thing here. I think that's that cable there. I reckon it's got to be, because there aren't any other cables. The manual makes that look as if it's a shorter cable, but I don't think it is. It's got different connectors at each end, so well, I guess that doesn't matter which way around that goes, so let me clip that on there. Okay, so that's the line tracking board, and then we are looking to put the line tracking board, I see, so we flip that over. Oh no, we're doing that on the, this is the underside of the robot, so that's the top side. Okay, so the line tracking board fits on there like so, I believe. This little universal wheel goes on the bottom of that. So yeah, so we have to get two M4 times 8 hexagonal prism. I think it's talking about M4 by 8mm. When it says hexagonal prism, I think it's talking about it's a hex key screw. So let's proceed on that assumption, and we'll fit that board on there like that, and we'll fit that wheel thing on there like that. And then we'll screw that into the little screw holes. They're threaded in the chassis, so they fit quite nicely. And then we'll tighten it up. I think that's probably right. Okay, now we need to flip it over. So we need to flip it over now, and then we need to put some Velcro. There's hook and loop stuff here. Now where's that going for? That's, oh, see, we're putting the battery box on the top here. So this is a bit weird. So it's saying fit the battery box underneath the circuit board. That means taking the circuit board off every time you want to change the batteries, and indeed doing that the first time around as well, which is kind of weird, but there it is. Okay, well, we're going to put loops on there and hooks on the other bit, like so. Okay, down the middle there. Okay, now we've got some long standoffs that go into here. Okay, we have 5 of those, but it looks like we only need 4. Okay, circuit board goes on top of that way up, and then the short standoffs go in the top of those holes. Well, so far I haven't had any cases where I've had to coerce the holes to fit. The engineering tolerances on where these holes are actually drilled seems pretty darn good, I would say. And so I haven't had to fuss and bend any of the pieces to make them fit. Okay, so that's that. Then we are expected to put that transparent sheet on the top there. Okay, so but I think we probably should connect up. I don't know how we're going to get the batteries in there. Oh well, I'll figure that out later. So that's clearly the power connector. I wonder if there is a wiring diagram somewhere. Oh yes, there is. Okay. So, motor number 1. Hopefully that will reach up inside there. Okay, motor number 2. This is all fairly straightforward plug together stuff so far. And then we've got that connector there, which is the line tracking sensor. Needs to go okay, up through the middle. And out this side. Wow, that's a little bit fiddly. I probably should have threaded those cables through that middle section first. I would advise, if you're assembling one of these from scratch, watching these instructions first, thread all your cables through that middle hole first before you put the circuit board on there, because it's a bit of a faff to get that out of there. Again, smaller fingers maybe will have less trouble with this than my sausage fingers are having, but never mind. Okay, so that's that. That's the line tracking sensor, and that goes onto that one there. Tuck those cables back in so they don't rub on the wheel. What else have we got to connect? Right, there's a buzzer on it. There's a mode selection switch, 1, 2, 3 there. I think that's everything plugged together, so I think I can now fit this stuff on the top. There's a coloured light there. Right, does that go that way round or the other way round? Well, the instructions do not show this little cutout piece here, so I'm guessing it doesn't matter very much. So last piece then is to put some M8 screws into that and fit that down. I guess if we got that the wrong way round, we can always change it. Okay, well there we go. That is full assembly, I believe. So, yeah, we haven't got anything else to put together. That's it. So assembly, I would say that's pretty straightforward. There are a couple of weird things in this manual. One is just to note that when it says hexagonal prism, it's actually talking about a screw with an Allen key or hex key fitting, that is a hexagonal prism, so I suppose that's right. The other thing is that there are some spare parts here, so we've got a couple of spare screws, a couple of spare standoffs and so on, which is good because if you drop pieces or lose them, that would be awkward. I don't know what all of these bits here are for. I guess you can attach your own little accessories and things on these tails here. But there we go, that's the assembled robot. And doesn't he look cute? Or maybe she, I don't know. So, let's go get some batteries, power it up, we'll download the app, which I believe is an Android app. I'll put this QR code like that. No, I'll put it, there's a bit of a shadow there, I'll put it like that and hold that nice and still for you. If you need to download that app, there's the QR code for it. Okay, let's go get some batteries and we'll give this thing a test. Now it is odd that I'm going to have to probably take this board off of there to get batteries in there. Let's hope it's got good battery life, because that's a bit of an awkward faff really. I guess I probably could stick the battery pack on the back there if I chose to, but it does spoil the aesthetic a little bit. Or I could get a different battery pack and I could install it in the middle there. Right, let's get it powered up and give it a try. Okay, batteries are installed, and it's got 3 modes, this robot. There's a little mode switch there. It's got 1, 2, 3 modes. It's got mode 3 is line tracking mode, mode 2 is obstacle avoidance mode, and mode 1 is programming mode. I'm going to put it in obstacle avoidance mode before we turn it on, and that way hopefully I can keep it on the table here just with my body and arms. Let's switch it on and see what we get. Okay. Well, that's kind of crazy, but I think it probably is working. Let's just turn that on again actually, so that we can see all these lights and things. It's got lots of little LEDs and things on there, which makes it entertaining for children, no doubt. Yeah, and so it is reacting to something it's sensing on that ultrasonic sensor there, I think. So let's just turn it off again. I'm going to clear the table and we'll see if we've got room to lay that map out, and then we can see if it works on line tracking mode. Just about. Okay, let's see what happens if we put it on line tracking mode and switch it on. Well, that definitely works. It looks pretty good so far on obstacle avoidance mode and line tracking mode. You can have a lot of fun with this line tracking mode just by getting a big sheet of paper, maybe a big sheet of wallpaper or something like that, and drawing just some pen lines on it. I'm sure you could have a lot of fun just with that. I think we just ought to say that the assembly of this was pretty straightforward. I would say that's probably well within reach of anybody who's assembled a relatively complex Lego kit before or anything like that. It assembles with 2 simple tools which are provided in the bag, and they are perfectly adequate for the task. You don't need any special tools or abilities, you just need maybe nimble fingers, maybe a bit more nimble than mine. But assembly is simple, definitely suitable for sensible children, and at the end of it you end up with a robot which has got quite a lot of programming and activity potential, I think. So right, when we come to program this thing, and as I mentioned earlier in the video, I have already had a play with this and tried to find the way to program it. And the QR code that's on the front of here, well, let's actually see where that goes to. It goes to xkbot.com/down_en.html. Now that's interesting that it seems to be going to an English version of a page, because when we click on that link we will get a chance to download the app. It just downloads directly. There's actually no web page there, it's just literally a download link. And when we download it, we're going to find that actually that app is not the English app, and there doesn't appear to be an English app for programming this robot. So let's have a look at it anyway when it's downloaded. Okay, so in order to install that app that we downloaded, I'm going to have to enable to install apps from unknown sources, which I've done there, and we're going to install the app here. That there does not bode well. Anyway, so look, we'll open up the app, and yeah, I just don't know what to do now. So there isn't even an easy, obvious way of, I think that's for pairing. Yeah, that's trying to pair with the device, but there isn't an English app, so I'm unable to do this. I guess I could probably try and translate that by, I've got another phone actually. I could take some pictures of this screen and try and use Google Translate to actually translate the Chinese here into something I can read. But it's a bit of a shame, because I mean, here in the manual it shows an app In fact, that shake mode is definitely an XKBot thing from MakeBlock. I had a look at their app, and it does look like that is actually an XKBot rip-off. And then there's a kind of mock-up screenshot here of an English app. And then there's this thing about where to download the app, and it's enter XKBot official account, personal center, click app download. There will be 3 links which are app download link. Well, they're not. Actually, that whole sentence there is just meaningless. So anyway, well, I shall try emailing them directly. I'm not going to try phoning them, but I will try emailing XKBot directly, see if they can shed any light on whether there is an English app for this. But until that happens, I'm afraid I can't really recommend this unless you can read Chinese. Maybe if you can read Chinese you might get some fun out of this, but otherwise you're only going to get a robot that does line following and obstacle avoidance. Now, I did wonder if, given that this thing is so obviously a rip-off of the MakeBlock XKBot, I did wonder if it was compatible with the XKBot app. In fact, there are 2 apps you can get for running your XKBot, and they're both downloadable through the Google Play Store. I've tried both of them on there and they don't connect to this robot, so whilst it superficially resembles an XKBot, it electronically does not appear to be compatible with the XKBot software. So that didn't work either, and that's a bit of a shame really, because this thing's got a lot of potential. Now, maybe you might still want to buy this because it's got a chassis and you could hack something else onto there. Maybe there are other boards you could put on there. I think there is actually a BBC microbit board which will probably fit on that, on those standoffs there, and maybe you could use that to hack your own robot. But to be honest, if you're going to go to that much trouble, you'd probably build your own anyway. So that's the review of the XKBot, and I'm afraid, as I say, I can't recommend that because it's incomplete. So, bit of a shame. If Banggood or the manufacturer come through with a link for an English app, I will take down this video and I will re-edit it and I will put in the full details. But for now, that's as far as we got with this robot. Bit of a disappointment. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.